You're listening to Music for a While, Westben's podcast devoted to exploring the wonderful world of music. Music has started to fill the barn once more, albeit without a true audience, in the form of recording sessions for our digital concerts at the barn. The next digital concert at the barn is performed by the incredible Canadian harpist Valerie Milot. This concert will premiere on August 15th on our new Westben digital venue, which you will be able to enter from our website, www.westben.ca. In this episode of the podcast, Valerie has a lovely and very open discussion with Brian Finley about the impact that the pandemic has had on her personal and professional life as a musician. She also gives us a sneak peek as to what it felt like to record this concert at Westben. This episode is sponsored by Windswept and Finley and Associates. To learn all about our generous sponsors, please explore the description below or visit our website. While you're listening, we invite you to engage with the podcast by subscribing or following wherever you may be listening from. Leaving a quick review on iTunes is also very helpful and helps the podcast family grow. Now please enjoy this very thoughtful discussion between Brian Finley and Valerie Milot.
Sitting here with Valerie Milot, and it's just wonderful to have you here at the farm. We're sitting outside the house right now at a safe distance, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you're feeling these days. These are very strange times in the world of music and so on, and so can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Valérie Milot. I play the harp. I'm mostly a soloist and chamber music player. I don't really play in any orchestra. And I'm also a producer. I produce shows, I tour.
And you teach as well?
And I teach at the Montréal Conservatoire.
Right.
The beginning of the crisis was coordinated with my father being very, very ill. Like he was having a third phase cancer, and he got very bad news in the beginning of March and passed away on April 8th.
Oh dear, sorry.
So, but my father and I were really linked through music. It's because of him that I play music, and I sort of got into this, early March I was recording my latest CD named Solo, and it's all about pieces that links me to him, and everything was like just kind of drawn in the sky of things that happen, like connected together.
I notice you say that in your notes for that, that every note you think of him.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the recording was the beginning of March. I had a phone call just before the last piece I recorded, which is famous Schubert extension, which is very, very sad. And I saw the phone ring. I just got it, and I told my sister, I will call you back after I know the news are not good. But so, I recorded that with the sorrow of, knowing that my father was going to pass away.
I have to tell you, same thing here. I was about to play Schubert, Shepherd on the Rock.
Really?
And I got a phone call about my mother.
Wow.
And I remember saying, I can't talk about this right now. This is,
Too sensitive?
But it is, it's amazing how music gets so close and is so related to the situation that's going on in one's life, in one's society, and and how that all does. So you must have been very, well, what were your feelings on top of the pandemic
it's
and
because
everything else?
At the beginning of the pandemic, I was really worried with my father's business, and I was sort of a bit happy that I didn't have so many concerts and that I could stay with him. But then, there was this very nice moment where he got to listen to my recording, and he was lying next to me, and he just got off his earphones and said to me that he never stopped playing the harp. And I just feel now that he could sense that something very hard for me in my, career or whatever artistry would come up. With the crisis was in the beginning, so all of this just was like a puzzle.
Well, and going back in you say you're close to your father all your life through music.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was your early music life like with your parents? Musical as well?
Well, mostly my father. He was a bone surgeon, but passionate with music. Actually, he would have loved to be an artist, but things brought him to. He was very passionate about what he was doing, and making people feel better. So when he was working a lot, and when I was very young, my mom thought, well, he could teach music to the children, then they would have some time together, because he would come back from the hospital and just play flute and guitar, and
Right.
So that's how
it's not always
connected.
easy to teach your own children.
No, and it was not. Actually, it was not at all. But we got very connected on that, and so I'm maybe the most sensitive of the children. I mean, so we had this very special link. We didn't talk much, but we communicated. With music. So yeah, the beginning of the pandemic was weird, but then when he died, and I just realized what was really happening, and there was weeks of stress and some sort of I think we all felt it at some point, some sort of distress, that what is going to happen is are we ever going to play again on the stage,
There was huge unknown, absolutely.
Yeah, something that, there were 2 wars at the beginning of the 20th century that didn't stop concerts,
Right.
And now we
Right.
have a virus that just stops everything. So in the beginning I was some sort of paralyzed, but then, my brain is always coming up with ideas and everything. So I started to have ideas about things and about what I want to, what I want to feel like after the pandemic is over.
Interesting.
Like to have used this time for things I don't really have time for.
Did you feel new directions, or just to reestablish with old dreams, or?
It was more about reestablishing with old dreams.
Yes, right.
Yes,
right.
like I wanted to start my musical parts edition company, so I started that.
Excellent.
Little things, but it's a big challenge since I have a 4.5-year-old daughter, and she's not going to daycare because her parents are musicians. So,
right.
But at the same time, I'm feeling much better. I'm trying to see things like what this special moment that I hope will never come back again
Right.
can bring me. What are the positive things that I can use?
Yeah, absolutely.
Spending more time with my daughter.
Yeah.
Having time for projects. Having time just to think.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because it doesn't always, as artists, it doesn't always impact us immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a time of digestion where I find that the industry, a lot of my colleagues in the industry, our colleagues, are not really comfortable performing at the moment because there are changes going on, because there are feelings that are really uncomfortable.
You mean like performing in front of a camera, or
maybe it's a new kind of a feeling. The kind of thing that you're doing here at Westben, which is to perform without an audience, is a very interesting. Tell us about that. Like, how did you?
Yeah, but I
how
have
did
to
you
tell
feel
you,
about
it was very different from all the other experiences I had since beginning of March, because I was lucky enough to have some occasions to have contracts for playing in front of a camera for organizations.
Yeah.
So I would do it on my own. I got some special equipment to do it. We all got through this. And the first time I had to record like a full solo concert in my living room. That was, I'm gonna tell you, it was really awful experience, because I was alone with my phone and my sound thing, and I felt the stress of just before the performance, when this kind of energy that you feel that can be negative, but it can also be very positive.
Right.
This energy that gives you the strength to go through a full solo recital.
Right.
And I used to be like, in my dressing room before, and I just, this experience was hard for me, even though at the end I was really happy to have played a full concert and have prepared for it. But it also made me realize what is so important about physical people listening to an
I was
artist.
just thinking that as you were saying that, there's such a return of energy when you enter a stage. It's suddenly a friendly place, and then it's a fun thing to do. So when you come to perform without that component, it's a much different feeling.
I never realized that much how much it was not just about us giving to others, but also a lot about the audience giving to us.
Absolutely, yeah.
This moment when you play and there's this suspension in the music, and you can sort of feel people breathe with you, and you exactly know when to push the other note.
Yes.
That
exactly
feeling.
Right,
You cannot have that with a phone.
No, that's true.
So what was really different in Westben was that you guys were there to listen to me, so I felt I had a public. Because
great.
there's a difference between 0 and 1.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
And 1 is often enough, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, true.
So you were like 4, 5, 6. That was awesome. I felt like I was playing for some people.
Oh,
That
that's
was
great,
really good.
because we felt so honored to, and sort of like we were cheating a little bit, to sit in there and make sure everything was going okay. But
I felt honored. I felt really blessed to have. Actually, it was like the first occasion I really had to play for real for people
oh, fantastic.
since the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, you played so beautifully. It was just... I wanted to ask you one other thing too that I absolutely adored when I first asked you if you would consider doing this project. You said yes immediately.
Oh yeah,
and
I
I
would
love that.
drive to Westben like the day after.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Well, you've been a guest here
Yes.
before, and I don't know. Maybe hopefully that had something to do with it. But
Of course.
what did you feel when you were asked to do this? What was the excitement?
Oh well, since I've been here before, it was just a magnificent experience for me. It's such a wonderful site, and Donna and you take care of it so well. And those are very few places where you really feel that people do it for the music. So I just felt it would be good for me to come back here and the communion with the nature, the people. It was all about the human experience.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very, very special here. It's a wonderful oasis of.
Oh yeah.
And you, despite the fact that there were a handful of people listening to you today, to technicians and so on that helped do that, did you miss having a bigger audience?
Today, no. Today I appreciate it.
The
Now,
intimacy, perhaps, or
sorry.
the intimacy of that.
Yes, I think I did a lot of thinking, and I've been talking with colleagues too about it. I had wonderful chats with colleagues because there was a point in the crisis where I was like, why do I play music? Why am I an artist? It just hit me really hard, and because it was mixed with all sort of things, maybe the death of my father too, because he never was the artist he wanted to be, so why would I be, there's something about ego in that.
Right.
And when the crisis began, then we all, I was told my child could not go to daycare because I was not, in French we say travailleur essentiel, which is like essential worker. And then you go like, oh, okay, I'm not essential. Why? And, it just gets in your head.
Yes.
So I think it was good, and it's a good thing to think it over.
Well,
Why?
did you answer that question for yourself? Why?
I'm starting to answer it. Yes, more and more. I feel more and more that because it doesn't matter if you make the difference for one person or for 1,000 persons. I dig in my memories, and I can find like wonderful stories where I feel really privileged to have this role in the life of some people. for example, in my very first recitals, I just had my first CD out. It was like 12 years ago. And a woman came to me and she said, well, my husband died 2 months ago. And when he was dying, we were listening to your CD. So for me, it was like something that would, close the circle
Yes.
to come to your recital. And she just looked very serene, and I was crying because I didn't.
That's very
think
moving.
I could,
and you didn't.
yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
And
We
you
often
don't feel
think of
worth
those,
it,
and
you know.
no, and that isn't really the reason we're doing that. And,
Mhm,
and not
yeah.
that ego-wise. We're
No.
doing it because it's. I do it because it has to be done in my soul.
Okay.
You know, and it's something that
That's interesting.
it's a place for me. It's like prayer. It's something that's very spiritual. It's a place that I go to that I find great, soothing connection and spirit, and I feel a wholeness and a oneness when I'm doing music. I think we're very sensitive to society and situation. Maybe we can be blinkered too, but I think we are very connected to it and take it in and get upset about it to the point where we can't do anything about it. But once it's digested, it does come out later, and people see it and feel it and know it. And so hopefully that's what's.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what's happening with you? Maybe that when you have this questioning about.
Oh yes, and there's always good in any situation, even the most dramatic.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really nowadays I'm thinking about the first concerts. How will it be? And I feel very optimistic and positive. I feel myself. I just can't wait to go back in a concert hall. I will be the first one to buy tickets. Oh yeah, I was supposed to go and see a Marc-André Hamelin, pianist, on March 17. It was the first concert.
Oh dear!
It was cancelled, and I just can't wait to go back. I just remember hearing him play and crying, and I just want to feel that again. I want to feel the tension when the artist comes on the stage, and you feel like you're gonna go through something very special.
And it's right alive. It's just so instant.
It will
instant.
be so intense.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
I know.
Next Westben festival, it will be like
I keep
all
thinking
over
about
the
it,
place,
and I superimpose people all over the grounds, and I see them, and I just, my heart just sings to think of what that's going to be like to do Beethoven's Fifth or whatever we're supposed to do this year or whatever it was, and
I predict that you will have more people coming.
I hope so.
I think so.
I
think that
think
when people feel safe, there will be more people, because we've spent all our days in front of our computers now.
Yeah.
We even have a glass of wine with our relatives on computers.
Yeah, I know.
So, and people are starting to work from home. I think that we really realize the worth of human.
Do you think it's going to have a new potency, a new raison? A new feeling for audiences, for people.
Actually, I think there will be a drastic change in the cultural milieu. I think, though, the changes will be slow, but they will happen, like maybe over 5 years.
What do you think? What sort of things do you see?
I think there's some sort of comeback to the the pure music, the pure concert. And to the, to human connection in general, not just in music, in everything. Spending some time with people you love. Some people making decision to spend more time with their children, their parents, their loved ones.
Yeah.
I think it's, sometimes you just need to lose what you have to realize you have it.
artistic life right now?
Well, I'm feeling very busy.
You can blame me for that.
Yeah, well, this is great. But I just got so many projects launched at the same time and recently that now I just feel that, I'm going to need some time to do it, and that it's okay that there is not that much concerts. I'm also, applying for grants we have in Quebec to produce shows outside, so I'm working on that too. So I may get very busy soon. So I'm, I've always liked to do things on my own, so I just keep doing that and keep faith that, the booking and everything will come back to normal, and that maybe like 21, 22 will be back to normal. And
do you think people think that performers, that all they do is perform and nothing else?
Yes, and some people think that we have a very easy life, but
Right.
I've got the experience done with some of my students sometimes when I feel that they don't really realize how hard it is to be a musician. I have them follow me for one day, and
Right.
often they go at the end of the day like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Well, I'm interested to know how you're handling your students. First of all, are you still connecting with students? Are you still doing lessons by Zoom or
No,
anything?
I'm really not a big fan of video lessons for...
Okay.
I think it's very useful, and that some people do it very well. I'm very bad at it. I'm a very physical teacher.
Right.
So, and there's something that I cannot hear on a
Yes,
microphone or a
right.
camera.
It's certainly a different experience.
Yes.
Are you? Do you find yourself advising your students or helping them through this situation, because this is a tough time for students as well too?
Oh yeah, I think it's very hard for the ones who were finishing their studies this year, because
Yes.
they go like into a big blank.
Yep.
Those who are younger and that are still in the core of their studies, they will also see the after, which can be very inspiring, and I think it's a good life experience. Actually, I would have loved to be younger through this crisis.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, because I think the younger generation may be dealing with it more positively
Yeah.
than some of us.
Yeah, well, because maybe you're more careless, or
Maybe,
you
yeah.
realize I don't know, but to me, teaching is very inspiring.
Yeah.
And I had this fantastic teacher named Rita Costanzi, which I studied with in New York for 1 year, and we've been meeting, and I've been inviting her to give master classes to my students, and she always says this. She says, we teach what we have to learn, and that's so true to me. When I teach, after a day of teaching or an afternoon, I go back home and I just want to practice or get into my art thinking, because I've been saying all day what I should do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I try to do, but you get a vision of how this music should be done. And
There's a re-examination as well. I know
constantly.
that as a teacher as well too. I used to line up 6 hours of teaching solid,
Wow.
and then at the end of that
That's
come
hard.
shooting out the other side, just raring to go, so full of energy and full of creativity, and
Yes.
I don't know if it's in spite of the students or because of the students, but
Yeah.
but it can be very, very exciting. That's a two-way street, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just been so wonderful to have you here, and I
It was
can't
my
wait to
pleasure.
invite you back in front of thousands upon thousands of people.
I'm looking forward, but
yeah.
I can tell you it was a magnificent experience, and I feel very blessed.
Well, thank you. It's us who are blessed to have you here, all of us, I suppose. So that's
Thank
great.
you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. Lovely to have you here. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Clark, the producer of this podcast. First of all, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode, which happens to be the 10th episode of this podcast. I would say that's reason to celebrate. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to let us know you're here. If you've found us on iTunes, Spotify, or any other platform, please follow the podcast to be notified when future episodes are released. There are more fabulous digital concerts at the barn being recorded and released monthly until the end of this year. Brian sat down with each of these artists to hear their unique perspectives on music making during these strange times. If you have any questions percolating about this concert series, or really anything at all, please submit them to westben@westben.ca to have them answered by Brian Finley in our next mailbag episode. Thank you again to our sponsors Windswept and Finley & Associates. We are so grateful for your support. With no ticket revenue being earned this summer, Westben relies on government funding, the support of our members, sponsors, foundations, and on generous donations from our audience. Now more than ever, we give you our thanks. We look forward to being able to welcome everyone back to the barn when it is safe to do so in the future. But until then, stay connected with us on social media and at our website. Take care.